We're going to stay with Fred Smith because he has the latest information regarding the death on COVID-19. Fred now joins us. Fred, we hear there's now a third person who has passed away.
Yes, Daniel, that's what the information we are picking from our sources, and we trust this information. This person we do know is an elderly woman around in her 50s and reported sick on Friday, and she was tested and tested positive. I do know the husband was also tested and also tested positive. What it says is that these two do not have any travel history, and the only close contact they've come to any foreign nation is a parcel they received from the United Kingdom. It's unclear yet if this is the source of their infection, but the man, we understand, the husband is still under observation, but the lady we do know passed on this dawn.
Fred, have the family been informed? What are medical staff telling us?
Well, we're not sure what has happened so far since the deaths are done, except that the officials are on alert and are strictly monitoring the husband as well.
What do we know about the other cases currently being treated?
Well, almost everybody is stable, and we expect that results, samples were taken of them yesterday, and we expect that results will come in. A number of them are showing good signs of recovery, and so later today we expect to hear some good news from there that some of them have recovered and maybe will be discharged from isolation.
Thank you very much, Fred. Good to have you with us. Now, as at the morning of 25th March 2020, a total of 68 cases, including 2 deaths, had been confirmed. 66 of these confirmed cases are being managed in isolation. The sudden spike in case incidence is as a result of the mandatory quarantine and compulsory testing for all travelers entering Ghana as directed by the president. Overall, 30 of the 68 cases have been reported in the general population, with the remaining 38 cases among persons currently under mandatory quarantine. As of 24th March, a total of 130 persons, 1,030 persons were under mandatory quarantine. Samples from 863 of them have been tested and 38 confirmed positive. The great majority of the confirmed cases are Ghanaians who returned home from affected countries. 7 are of other nationalities, namely Norway, Lebanon, China, and UK. In respect of contact tracing, a total of 829 contacts have been identified and are being tracked. A total of 826 contacts have been enlisted and are being tracked. Now, 19 people have completed the 14 days of mandatory follow-up. We have more on this, including the latest on the Joy News report of a death in the bulletin. But in the meantime, Ghana has received its consignment of personal protective equipment, PPEs, and COVID-19 test kits, which were donated by wealthy Asian businessman Jack Ma. Gabon, Ghana, Congo, and the Democratic Republic of Congo make up the 3rd batch of countries to receive their share of the materials. This was revealed in a Twitter post by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali, who is working in partnership with Mr. Ma to distribute the items to the beneficiary countries.
Wednesday, the 25th day of March 2020, Ghana has just received thousands of PPEs, test kits and nose masks from the Jack Ma Foundation, as you can see, delivered by Ethiopian Airlines. And right here at the Kotoka International Airport, we see a lot of workers trying to get these shipments from the aircraft for distribution.
Let me first of all thank the representative of the Chinese ambassador in Ghana, and I'll thank Ethiopia Airlines and the ambassador who is here to represent Ethiopia, and the Prime Minister for Ethiopia for facilitating this move. Our president started talking to Jack Ma about 2 weeks ago, we had indications that Jack Ma was preparing to come to support not only Ghana, but Africa. Our president is a very good friend of Jack Ma. We were expecting these items to arrive on the 27th. But through the efforts of the Prime Minister for Ethiopia and Ethiopia Airlines, they've managed to ship in these items even earlier than the time we were expecting them. So we got short notice last night to come and to receive these items on behalf of the President and the people of this country. We are very grateful to Jack Ma Foundation, to the Chinese Embassy in Ghana, Ethiopia Airlines as well. We have started receiving items that we ourselves have procured. There are some that we have ordered that to be delivered. By close to the week, we expect that apart from these items that we are taking, we will take into inventory close to about 30,000 protective equipment, several quantities of masks, sanitizers. Now we have actually registered close to about 18 Ghanaian companies that are producing sanitizers in our country. So we are no more procuring sanitizers from export window. We are producing them locally. Some philanthropists and corporates in Ghana have also started doing donations to us.
The Chinese businessman Jack Ma donate some medical supply to the Ghanaian government. Actually, his company Alibaba will donate to each and every 54 African countries. Each country will have 100,000 masks, 20,000 testing kits, and 1,000 medical used protective suits, and 1,000 face shield for each African country. Today we are very happy that the goods have already arrived. Actually, the Chinese government is very much concerned about the situation here in Ghana concerning the spread of the coronavirus. Actually, right now our government already provided medical supplies to more than 100 countries. Especially when I know Europe is hit very hard right now here at present. So right now we already sent a huge amount of medical supplies and also some medical teams to some Italy, some other European countries. But right now our focusing our emphasis right now reverting to Africa.
I appreciate first of all Jack Ma for supplying for Africans, and also my Prime Minister have a commitment for supply for the continent on the distribution. The Prime Minister take an initiative, and I'm very glad to be here in Ghana to supply the first supply here in Ghana. They're also undergoing in different African countries before 2 days ago. So that at this critical time we are together and we have to support each other. We will overcome this pandemic COVID-19 by strengthening our effort together.
It's very much needed highly critical items that are used in fighting against the coronavirus. So we appreciate the donation of the Jack Ma Foundation and the generosity of Mr. Jack Ma for the whole of the donation, and we appreciate our Prime Minister, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed, for facilitating and coordinating the whole of the process. And as an indigenous and pioneer Pan-African airline, Ethiopian Airlines has stood together with Africans during their good and challenging times.
We've heard from the Minister of Health, who has said that immediately they are engaging the logistics team from the Ghana Army to begin distribution of these test kits and other logistics to our healthcare providers, and we expect that by Friday, as is mentioned, we are able to deliver all of these things to our health institutions to ensure that they are able to carry out their testing, their protection, and to ensure that we are able to bring this virus under control. Currently, as we speak, there appears to be a shortage of these logistics in our health facilities, especially for test kits, to enable us to do mass testing. These kits will ensure that a lot more people will be tested for us to be extra sure that nobody is left with the infection here in Ghana. Kotoka International Airport, I am Fred Smith for Joy News.
Now, streets of Kumasi are virtually empty as many residents observe the National Day of Fasting and Prayer declared by government to seek divine intervention against COVID-19. Unusual of many road intersections, the few street hawkers who decided to ply their trade say patronage is very low because vehicular traffic has drastically reduced. Nane Aljima has been observing development on the top high Eja stretch of the main Kumasi-Accra highway and filed this report.
Me ba 5 o'clock The amount of Newton.
So, I mean, Tobon Torre, casting so by Nipani. Be a dipami, and San Anomu, to be Jina and Torre.
According to them, due to the fasting that a lot of people are observing today, they are not buying their products. I can see bread, water, some are selling tissue papers and others. According to them, people are not buying. That's the first. And secondly, even though there are vehicles on the street, there are no people in these vehicles. People are not joining the vehicles. So therefore, obviously, since they sell on the streets, it will affect the business. And also, and what I'm saying?
I mean, by a my turn 4.
About timing?
Maybe 6:30.
And past 6:30. Internet, wow, shots mostly I'm dorsal. I didn't see.
And I dorsal. A dorsal pana. You ran by anything. Don't do an anchor summer if you say you're tired. And I know, yes, I have fasting or casting and ma papa. A banny papa, come you and 7 no mutim. I am a kuma could be a tired. See, John and yet. You ran him affect markets no. Markets no cost us a face.
She admits that since this coronavirus pandemic broke out, a lot of them have refused to come to the streets to sell. Now, one of the precautionary measures they say that's the social distancing is affecting their business. Whenever they go close to people and try to sell to them, the people draw back. So it's one of the issues they say worry them most, and due to that, a lot of them have refused to come to sell here on the streets.
Yeah, like Babuay and they are on right basis, no, sanitize IDB. Or they should reduce the price, they be affordable, no be and sweat me because right now, no, sanitizer because of say virus, no, the high prices now. 10 cities instead of 3 cities, no. The hype number now called 10 cities, 20 cities. So those we are working here, no, it's very hard for us to buy. Because I didn't have 3 cities now, percentage of 70, I become one. It's so serious. So we are pleading to you to help us. Thank you.
All right. So according to them, one other issue that's bothering them is at the prices of sanitizers on the market. At the moment, they say sanitizers are selling for more or double of their prices. So they find it very difficult to buy and use. And where they are, they don't have running water available so that they could easily wash their hands whenever they come to contact with a person or wash their hands often. So that is another issue. And they want the government to listen to them and help them procure sanitizers for themselves. Food vendors, beauty salons, and other businesses in Kumasi have all been closed voluntarily to observe the National Day of Fasting and Prayer. The prayer is that God heals our land. We pray that soon life returns to normalcy. From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Now, traders at the Nima market are aware of social distancing, but not really practicing it with varied reasons. Some say other traders picked this spot before they arrived at the market. Others say they know they are immune and are not likely to get infected. Some also say they use sanitizers. Hannah Dami joins us on the telephone with more. Hannah, so you visited the market to find out if these women are practicing social distancing?
So, it's something else here. There's no way any form of social distancing is being practiced at the Nima market. Everybody is out buying, shopping, selling. A lot of them know about social distancing, but they have all the excuses that they are saying that they think that they are immune or they are protected, and so there's no way to social distancing. One final woman that I spoke to also said that she suggests that at least the market should be open once in a month period with which COVID is with us, so that at least everyone can come and shop. And I told her, well, that will also not be a form of social distancing. But that's her practical way of thinking that problem can be solved. Some taxi drivers that I spoke to also say that they know the 6 feet does not apply in their taxis because they are closer to their customers than they are, but there's nothing they can do. They still have to shop and ensure that they get food on the table. So they really don't know. All they can do is leave their lives in the hands of God because life must go on, shopping must go on, and trading too must also go on. So I can tell that at the Nima market here in Accra, there is no form of social distancing whatsoever. One of the market leaders that I spoke to also told me that initially they had thought of split, so that some people will come in the morning, some in the evening, or they will do it alternative in days. But there was no agreement, so they all decided to come. And that's the situation here at the Nima market. We are currently at the Malamata market, and it's the same situation. Nobody is practicing social distancing.
Hannah, are there any authorities there? Are there any police officials of the various MMDAs watching on?
No, Daniel, I haven't seen any here. I haven't seen any here. I've been here since the morning. It's past midday, and I haven't seen any security man here.
Thank you very much, Hannah Odame, for joining us with those updates. Now, in the wake of the spread of COVID-19, many have raised concerns about a massive outbreak if the disease hits the slums. The reason they say is simple: overcrowding. Today, the Joy Clean Ghana campaign visited Old Fadama to assess the situation and how they are coping and, most importantly, observing social distancing. Nancy Emefa Jwadosi was with the team and now reports.
Meet 29-year-old Muniru, a food vendor who resides at Old Fadama here in Accra. She and 10 others have been living in the structure for 15 years. After insisting the room was big enough to accommodate them all, environmental officers decided to assess the place. The room was dark.
11 people live in this room. How do you guys sleep?
We sleep. We didn't sleep well. Yes.
We had to turn on the torchlights of our phones to see.
And it is actually filled with a lot of clothes, bags, shoes, and other things. And this small space available is what 11 people share. They tell me that there's no space in between them when they lie on the floor.
Inspector Sitanga was not happy.
I see how the room is very small, with crowded food, restaurant articles, clothing, used clothing, their personal clothing. There is no window, no ventilation. So if 11 people are sleeping in this particular room, we can imagine the risk that these 11 people, if they are able to get in contact with another 11 people, multiplied by the week that we are working, how many are we getting to? So this room alone can give us a multiplication of 100 and over per week. And let's look at the way the area is crowded and overpopulated.
We went back to ask Muniru how they managed to sleep in a room without proper ventilation.
Your fan is standing fan. Standing fan. Me pacho se siano. We say we 11 workers, but 7 na that dynamo. Nipa 7 no end that dynamo. Pacho ye be here say ude we juma o boss number be mayen. Ye pese ya nene kasa. Send ye be ya obe buamo.
It is for this reason that the People's Dialogue on Human Settlement, the Ghana Federation of the Urban Poor, and the Accra Metropolitan Assembly organized a sensitization program for residents of Accra's biggest slum, Old Fadama. Chairs were arranged 2 meters apart, social distancing.
Nipa be 20 be yusu bol baku anum koko ukshensho na mudi uru koko inchensi na wanya di yesi ana wasa di asama nipa fufuro enti sa area no ye be den na ya boy ho ban.
Headquarters, truck pushers and food vendors shared their challenges and suggested solutions.
Once you see disposable container, what's that called no good disposable cup no ma we no no ma. What to me uhurubio and one is our day over disposing of no you fufuro.
Executive Director of the People's Dialogue on Human Settlement, Farouk Rabiu Brima, stressed the importance of education. He disclosed their research shows slums will be most affected if there's an outbreak.
We also know clearly that when it comes to the fight it will either be won or lost in the Zongos, inner cities and slums. And so that's why we are presenting this model as a national model, the community-led response and management of COVID-19 to the entire country. Let's adopt it. Let's keep it running so that communities will take control. We did an assessment a few days ago by People's Dialogue, and what we realized is that these are people who live in exceptionally challenging environments. As you would find in the videos, we are overcrowded, and they say isolation. We have no rooms, you talk of quarantine. We have no food, you say we shouldn't go out to work. And so these are issues that we need to address. There is no water in the community.
Just when the exercise ended, one of the environmental officers, Madam Florence Foley, told the crew what she found on her way to the event.
In the morning when I was coming for this gathering, I met a choba operator who was recycling disposable spoons. She washed them and was packaging them nicely as if it was from the store. So when I stopped and asked her why she was doing that, she asked me who I was. So I said, in this era, why trying to do this? She told me I should get away from her.
Madam Florence Kuchi explained the dangers associated with that practice.
So people who do this, it can easily lead to communicable diseases, not necessarily COVID-19. There are a lot of diseases that somebody can even acquire. Typhoid fever is there and all that. So we are advising them to stop using it. So when we come and then we get you, you'll be in serious problem, because this woman, as she has said, she knows where she conscripted these things from. These are just exhibit, and we are going to use this thing and take that woman on.
Sanitizers, liquid soap, tissue and nose masks were distributed to households to help prevent the spread of the deadly coronavirus.
Meanwhile, there have been talks of a possible lockdown, but the People's Dialogue on Human Settlement, a community-based non-governmental organization, says government should be ready to provide for the informal sector if it decides to go with a lockdown. Farouk Rabiu Brima is executive director.
If there's a lockdown, we will be the hardest hit with a lockdown. Why am I saying this? Majority of the residents of Zongos, inner cities and slums are in the informal sector. We don't have savings, we don't have salaries, we don't have bank accounts. Now, how are we going to survive? Issues of sustenance, issues of water, issues of food would kill people, not COVID-19. So again, let's begin to understand the exigencies of time. Where should we spend our resources? If there's the tendency for a lockdown or a lockout in Accra, one of the things we recommend would be that these community coordinating centers must be established in such communities. We have to identify and target communities that require such essential services and then provide them. You provide water, you provide food. Some minimum level of food to keep people alive. And these are things that is a non-negotiable. It's a no. You cannot lock down the city when you haven't provided for the informal sector to survive. And so we are saying clearly that we support whatever government wants to do. But first, let's get the structures right. Let's get the preconditions right.
Hi everyone, welcome to Business. My name is Daryl Carl. Some businesses are observing the National Day of Fasting and Prayer. The spiritual exercise was declared by President Akufo-Addo to see God's face in the fight against the spread of the coronavirus. Joy News' Nanaya Ojima has been monitoring how the business community in the Ashanti region is observing this day. He's currently at Kumasi's popular spare parts market. And Nanaya, if you can hear me, how has the observance of the National Day of Fasting and Prayer affected trading activities?
All right, so earlier this morning, I reported that most of the shops at Tech Junction and some shops at the Central Business District had locked up to observe the day. But it's different here at the Swami Magazine Industrial Enclave. Most of the shops, about 95% of the shops here are open for business. But interestingly, patrons are not walking in to buy. I have with me one of the traders here. Let me speak to him briefly, sir. But an extent of business here.
Oh, another business is slow. A pre-emra, Yarea, Abeyasin, another president here, yes, he was saying, young queer put to join him near Mompai and Sumpring and Coupon, said a bear. Diarrhea, other things we are seeing now, come with this free and Sonintino. If we mras, I had no extra tea, bandy. Ama and near my business and so that and go through.
So what he has been telling me is that business has been very slow, and since the COVID-19 pandemic broke in Ghana, business hasn't moved as they expect, and especially today being a day for fasting and prayer, business is extremely slow compared to the previous days.
Thank you very much, Nalaya Ojima. Well, let's take a look at some news from elsewhere. The U.S. President Donald Trump and the Senate have agreed a massive economic relief package worth more than $1.8 trillion. The package includes money to bail out industries that have been affected by the coronavirus crisis. Joining me in studio to discuss this, Philip Namfuri. How critical is this package?
Yeah, Darryl, this is very important. I mean, the U.S. is an economic powerhouse. When the virus broke, we saw a bit of laxity in how they dealt with it. Then we had the first Federal Reserve cut and subsequent cuts, and then the bond buying program. So we've had monetary stimulus that came from the U.S. Central Bank. Now what we have is the fiscal stimulus, what's coming from the government. That's the cabinet, like you said in your introduction. And we're talking about over $2 trillion in terms of tax breaks and spending cuts. Now, in the $2 trillion, I beg your pardon, there's $500 billion that's going in loan guarantees to companies. There's $350 billion that's going to aid small businesses. And there's $1,200 in checks that's going to middle income to low income families. So if you are rich in the US, you don't qualify for this. Middle income to low income earners.
And they say that if the US sneezes, the world catches a cold. And so what's going to be the trickle down effect for economies like ours, who largely depend on bigger markets like the US?
I was about to crack a joke, but I think I'll just keep my joke with the
in the days of coronavirus, right? Right.
Yeah. So the US markets, financial markets, form an important component of the entire financial system. Remember, the 2008 financial crisis started with the collapse of Lehman Brothers and AIG, and that triggered a global financial crisis. With markets all in the red across the world, right now we're seeing a pickup in Asia because of the China story with regards to no or virtual no cases in there. But in the US, most of the US companies have hands across the world. So if things are going to go well for the US economy, then all things being equal, let's assume this virus is brought under control. It should bode well for us. But we can see earlier on today that
the markets
were moving. Thank you
positively.
very much. Yeah, so we can see that this is good. But in there, I think I should also state that in there, there's an oversight mechanism for who gets what money. Two, if a company gets this money, there's a ban on stock buybacks. You know, in the US, they are fond of going to buy back their stocks, which will raise the price of their this thing. As you can see in there, most of the markets, the indexes in the US are in the green. That shows generally how they've gone up over the course.
We just have 60 seconds to wrap up.
Sure.
I just want to, as we talk about this, I'm just also thinking about our situation here in Ghana and calls by businesses for some stimulus of the sort. Is that going to happen, do you think?
For us, we are trying our best. Like we said earlier on, we are going to get the IMF funds, all things being equal. We are trying our own monetary stimulus, what the Bank of Ghana has done. But before I go, Darryl, the US total stimulus is just $6 trillion, which is only 30% of their GDP.
All right, and we'll talk about it on the marketplace in about 20 minutes. That's at 1 o'clock. Do join us at 1 p.m. then. My name is Darryl Powell.